Hello, friends. Today we're going to answer the question, how many approaches should I make when I go out to approach? How many? Let's find out. Okay, today we're answering the question, how many approaches should I make when I go out to approach? First, I want to start with what is preventing you from getting good at approaching. Okay, if you're going out there and you're making approaches, but you're still dealing with approach anxiety, you're not getting a lot of numbers. When you get numbers, those aren't going through, then there's probably one big mistake you're making. Okay, and that's you're not approaching often enough. All right, so one thing that we need to get past when we're starting to make approaches is approach anxiety. And assuming you haven't heard of approach anxiety, that's the very normal thing for all men where we feel a little bit anxious or fearful before we go to approach a girl we don't know, even when we're approaching a girl we do know that we're really attracted to. The theory being that when we were living in small tribes, if you approach a girl, if you attempt to make a connection with a girl, and that doesn't go well, then she tells all the other girls in the village, and your SMV, sexual marketplace value, goes down. So you're less likely to be able to breed and match with other girls in the tribe. And secondarily, if you are approaching a high value girl in the tribe, then some of the other males in the tribe are probably in competition with you, and you may end up in a violent situation. You might risk life and death simply by trying to make a connection with a girl that you're attracted to. That's the theory. It's a good theory. I don't think it's well proven, but the fact remains that all men have some level of approach anxiety. Okay, so this is why we want to work on building momentum. Momentum is how much speed or weight is behind your actions. So our first approach is going to be really difficult, whereas as we do more and more approaches, it becomes easier. Part of that is your brain simply gets used to that fear chemical. It's just like being a soldier in a way, right? You go through all that training so that when you're in that difficult situation, you know how to handle it. So just like that, when you're going out to make approaches, there's a certain number of approaches you have to make before you have enough momentum to be over that AA, all right, that approach anxiety. So there's a minimum number before you can even start counting towards approaching. And what is that number? What is that number? Here it goes. You need to do 10 sets. 10 every single time you go out. Okay? That's because those first 5 are your throwaways. That's your warm-up. That gets you to that momentum building. That's our phase 1 from the last video where I talk about phase 1 and phase 2 of approach and when to approach, right? So you got to do 5 just to get to your momentum level. And you got to do another 5 because here's where the fun happens, right? That first 5 just gets you warmed up. So this is the big mistake I see a lot of guys doing, and I've even seen coaches I respect tell guys, "Oh, just do 5." No. No. Okay? If you stop at 5, what you're going to do is you're going to build a consistent negative experience for yourself, right? Because that first 5 is going to be the most difficult. It's going to go the least good unless you're doing so many sets that you have so much momentum that those first 5 are going to be good. But then you're doing, more than 10 sets every day. And actually you should be doing 10 sets 7 days a week, okay? 7 days a week. Every day you need to go out, you need to do your 10 sets, your 10 approaches, and that's how you're going to get good, okay? So whatever you do more than 5. The first 5 is just your warm-up, okay? Everything good happens after 5, okay? And you'll see the more you do, once you get to 10, you don't have approach anxiety anymore. It starts to get fun. You don't even want to stop at 10. You're not even counting, right? You're like, oh, I hit 10. I'm just going to keep going because like I'm having fun now, right? So that's the advantage of doing 10 sets every time you go out to approach. And to get real momentum going, I advise doing 10 sets 7 days a week. Okay? Because once you do that, you got the momentum, then you'll start to see that those first 5 are going better too. So this is how you're going to get good, right? Imagine you're training to be a baseball star. Are you going to just swing the bat 5 times and call it a day? I don't think so. You're going to keep swinging that bat and swinging the bat and swinging the bat until you get a home run. So you got to approach the same way. So we've talked about how many. 10 sets, 7 days a week. Now, what's going to help you during the second 5 sets? The first 5, just do it. Second 5, what you need to do is slow down, become more of an observer, right? You need to, it's going to be helpful to observe the girl. Look at her style of dress. Like, what does that say about her? What do you think her job is? What area of town is she in? Why would she be in that area of town? Then you can start to create these connections and make these assumption statements that are more accurate. And I'll talk about assumption statements and how to do the approach once again in a later video. But this is important in their second 5 is to slow down, right? The first 5, get it out of the way. Second 5, slow down, make targeted approaches, observe girls. Do they match your perfect partner statement or not? Right, so these are going to be more purposeful. And two more things that are going to be helpful for you in getting better. And the first one is if you can find people in the community, a partner, a bro, to go out with you, and then you can take turns doing approaches. It's helpful to have somebody, even if they aren't very good at game yet, observe. Right? Because they're going to see things that you can't observe when you're yourself, right? They can look at your body language and her responses, and even if they're not good, it's easy to see other people make mistakes, right? It's much easier to see other people's mistakes than it is to see our own. So even a person who's not very good with game and girls can see the painful body language and mess ups, so they can give you some feedback, right? The other thing that happens is it's a lot harder to cheat on doing 10 sets and like doing less, right? When somebody else is watching you. So it really like forces you to like have to take that action. So having a partner or bro out there with you can be helpful. Second thing, write a field report, right? So at the very minimum, when you're approaching girls, if it goes well, if you get that number or that INSTADATE, you want to take out your phone, make an audio recording, or do talk to text into a note app or a Google Doc and be like, okay, she is 28 years old, she lives in this area, she works as a blah, 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 because you want to record her basic information. If you're approaching a lot, you might start to get confused around the girls because you're getting so many numbers. So that's the very bare minimum. The second thing is think about what went well, what went wrong. So even if a approach goes wrong, you want to write down, okay, I think I approached from behind and tapped her on the shoulder, and that was probably a bad idea, right? Write these out. Like that self-reflection time is really, really important to becoming better, right? If you're just approaching and you're not self-reflecting, your improvement is going to be much slower, if at all. Okay. So I'm going to give you a get out of jail free card. When is it okay to not do 10 sets? To not approach 10 times? If you get an INSTADATE. Okay. Remember, that's our goal, is to get dates, right? That's the next step after making an approach. So if you can get that INSTADATE, then you can do fewer sets that evening because you spent that time, hopefully more than 30 minutes with that girl. If you're lucky and this definitely happens, you might even like get her back to your place, in which case, sure, you don't have to do 10 sets. You took a girl home. You're doing fine, right? So that's your get out of jail free card. Go for the INSTADATEs. And if you can get that, then you don't have to do as many approaches. And that means you're getting better because you're connecting with girls in such a solid way that you're able to like get that date right there on the spot. In summary, we need to do 10 approaches 7 days a week. That's because approach anxiety is the gate that's blocking us from moving forward and getting good. Those first 5 approaches are our throwaways. The next 5 approaches are where the gold happens, okay? So we got to get to that 10. At least once you get to 10, you'll find you're having fun, and you'll probably keep going if you have the time. Find a bro to help push you and make sure you're doing all of your sets. Write those field reports so you know what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, so you can track your progress. And those are my musings for today on how many approaches do you need to make to get good at game. Please click the like button, subscribe if you want to keep up with my videos, and I will see you in the next video. Love you guys.